say we take the situation outside and create another situation. When Dr. Sharron called me a couple of weeks ago and asked me to speak, and she told me the subject, I said, absolutely, without a doubt. And so she asked me to dress up, so rather than me wearing my shorts and my flip-flops, I decided to put a tie on. As many of you know, I've been in the television film industry for 26 years as of this June 4th, 2012. And for those who know the industry, we think it as being glamorous. It really is a lot of long, long, long hours. And several years ago, I had reached a turning point in my career, and I went to my boss and I said, you know, I need some time off. And I know it's Christmas and I know we're very busy. But, you know, in a perfect world, I would really like to have 2 days off. But I realize we're busy, so I'm willing to take 1 day off. And she looked at me and she frowned and she said, you know, we're really very busy. This is not the perfect time to be asking for time off. And I looked at her and I said, well, you know, I haven't had a vacation in 4 years. And I work every weekend. I said, I would really ask for 1 day. So she agreed. So excited. I remember that following Saturday, I went on my Christmas shopping spree. I got ready for a party that evening, and then the phone call came. My boss was on the other line, and she said to me, well, we have so-and-so, blah, blah, famous photographer in town, and he's requested that you pick up 3 of the models that are on a reshoot. And he's asked you to go to the airport and then bring them to his condo and then do a meet and greet, and then you can leave. And I said, well, you know, can't we get the assistant to do this? And she said, no, he's actually asking for you. And she said, you know, it really is a tough time right now with this economy, so I would ask that you kind of review the situation. So I kind of took a deep breath and went out to the airport. And as I arrived at the airport, before I even arrived, I should say, as I'm pulling into the gate, I leaned up and I said, okay, God, I'm at a turning point right now. I need a miracle. I need a sign from heaven to let me know that this is a turning point and I need to look for plan B. So I approached baggage claim, and there they were. My first model, we'll call him Cornelius. I introduced myself as, hey, Cornelius, hi, I'm Peter. And he goes, hey, man, you can just call me James. Sup? Right? I turned to the other male model and I said, hey, you know, my name is Peter and I understand your name is Dimitri. And I don't know what happened at that moment. I think I had multiple out-of-body experiences, but for some reason, his introduction seemed to take 45 days. And by the time he finished saying hello, I was kind of looking around and going, oh my gosh. And then I leaned into the supermodel, the female, and as she was picking up her cell phone, I said, hi, my name is Peter. And she leaned in and she goes, I said, what's your name? And she goes, doesn't really matter. Ooh, okay. So we get in the car, and as we are, I should say I am, paying for the ticket to get out of the airport, there had been an ongoing argument, apparently on the airplane, and the argument is simply this. They were on a reshoot, and apparently the female model did not want to hold a baby on set. So the client asked that they come and do a reshoot. And when they were talking about their day rates, Jakes found out that she was making, let me put it this way, what she made in 1 day plus usage and royalties, I probably made in about 1.5 years. Okay? So as they were arguing over the day rates, and as I'm paying for the ticket to get out, no one volunteered. And I'm thinking, I'm not getting paid to take you to this party, what I'm thinking. So I said, okay, I need to get into my center. So I turned the radio on. Sorry. I turned the radio on, and the song comes on. It's called I've Been to the Desert with a Horse with No Name, right? In my head, I kept singing I've been to the airport with the girl with no name over and over and over in my head. We get into the city. And, you know, I'd asked God for a sign, and as we're pulling into the block, Hawthorne, I'll never forget this, Hawthorne Street, it began to rain. There was thunder from out of nowhere. And so it started raining so hard that I could not see the addresses on the gates. So I stopped the car, I got out, and I asked, I said, does anyone want to help me find this condominium or townhome? Because I can't see the gate. I can't see the addresses here. Silence in the car. Nothing, no response. So, okay, not a sign yet. So I proceed to walk down to every condominium, every townhome, and they had small addresses on the gates, and the gate led to the courtyard, and the courtyard led to the front door. Got it? So as I'm going down the street, in the rain, walking, I could hear the three models arguing still over their day rates and the reshoot. And as I'm going down, I finally hear a piano, and I hear the clanking of glasses, and I hear laughter, and I hear Christmas music. Ah, this is it. Get them in, meet, greet, go. So I ring the doorbell. No light, and I ring and I ring and I ring. No response. Maybe they can't hear me. So I thought, well, if I jump up and down at the gate, they'll see a hand jumping around the gate, and then they'll come open the door. Nothing. I had a brilliant idea. What I'm going to do is I'm going to climb on top of this gate. I'm going to look in and see if I see blah, 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 famous photographer, and then they will let me in. So as I am climbing over the gate, I lean my shoe on top of the gate latch, and as I did so, the gate swung open. As it was swinging open, my sweater got caught on the top of the gate, and I swung into this party, hanging back and forth, looking at, and I remember as I was in this mode of confusion, I saw this woman drinking white wine, and as I'm swinging in the gate, she's just watching me, and they're singing Christmas songs. No one else is looking at me, and as I swing around to the other side, I go back out to the street, and I hear Larry, Moe, and Curly still arguing over the day rate. As I swing back and forth into the gate, she's still drinking her red wine, and I said, oh God, is this the sign? Is this the sign? And I remember I looked up, and there was this golden flickering Christmas decoration. It was an angel. This was the sign as they began to sing, "Oh Come, O You Faithful." I knew. And I share this story with you today for many, many, many reasons, because on so many levels we can relate to this. How many times has your boss asked you to do something and you're happy but went, I don't know about this? How many times in life have you worked with coworkers that you just didn't kind of vibe with? So, how many times have we not spoken up for ourselves? How many times has money been the common factor between our spirituality and our path versus our career? A conflict. How many times have relationships, bosses, boyfriends, girlfriends, siblings? And I bring this up because what I've learned in terms of balancing our spirituality, when people come to me for sessions, there are two things that are very, very important: relationships and money. So let me move forward here. I had a client who called and he said, I don't want a session with you, but I'm having some problems connecting in relationships. And I asked 10 minutes of your time, would you meet me for coffee? So I said, sure, why not? So I showed up. He said, what would you like? I said, I'll take some coffee. So he goes and gets coffee, and he comes back with his croissant and his orange juice, and he flops the coffee down, and it spills everywhere. No cream, no sugar, no spoon, no napkin. So I said, excuse me. So I went and got, my stuff. And as I came back, he was texting. On and on and on. So I sat and I waited and I waited and I waited. Finally, he stopped, and we spoke about that much, and he said, thank you very much. I was like, okay. So I go out to my car, getting in, bing, I have a text. Thank you so much for sharing your time with me. It really meant a lot to me. I've learned a whole lot today. I can't thank you enough. I'd love to do this again. Can we meet back next Tuesday? Okay. Next Tuesday. What would you like? Well, I'd like some coffee, but this time, cream, sugar, napkin, spoon. Yeah. Okay. So he comes back, this time with a muffin, orange juice, and coffee. And he begins to drink his coffee, and I'm sitting here waiting and waiting and waiting. And I kept looking, over at the cashier, thinking, well, maybe she's going to bring my coffee. He said, what are you looking at? I said, well, I guess they forgot my coffee. He goes, oh, man, I'm so sorry. I thought, you know, my aha button, my happy button. Bing, bing, bing. So I said, you know, I've spent, 20 minutes here, and I'm not, maybe I just need to go. Would you mind? No problem. So I get out to my car, bing, bing, bing. Multiple texts. Can't thank you enough. What an amazing afternoon. You've really changed my life. And so I called him while I'm in my car, and I said, you know, I'm not feeling this energy connection here. And he goes, you know what? He said, I don't like to talk, so why don't you just text me? Bing, 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 my stomach. Okay. So I text. I'm not feeling this connection. All of a sudden, the text, bing, bing. I mean, it seemed like every 5 seconds. I must have had 10 or 12 texts coming from this guy. And I looked at my text, and I'm thinking to myself, well, I'm already probably past my unlimited amount here. Right? So anyway, I sent him a text, and I said, you know what? I believe I've discovered something. Perhaps if you're really looking to connect with people, maybe it's not via text. Right? Never heard back from this guy. So let me move forward. So I went into San Diego a couple of weeks ago, and I was doing a workshop. And at the very end of this workshop, and this workshop was called Our Soulmates, Our Affirmations. And Sunday at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, the last part of our lesson was writing down what you saw in a soulmate, your affirmations. So as I looked around the room, I could see the women, oh my God, they were just writing, just, pages and information, and they were just so excited. I looked around, and I could see the men looking at the other men. They do this, and they do that, and they'd write. Now it was time for them to share. So I said, who wants to share? This hand went up. It was a woman. She had the biggest smile on her face, and she ran down that aisle. And she just smiled and smiled and smiled, and I said, well, you want to share your affirmations? And she said, I would love to. And she had 3 pages of what she wanted in a soulmate. Number 1, he had to be blonde. Number 2, he had to be 6 foot. Number 3, he had to be successful. Number 4, he had to like her going shopping for him. Number 5, he had to like kids. The list went on and on. The physical, and as we got to page 3, there was no more, space to write. And at the very end, she wrote up on the last page of page 3, P.S. He's got to be spiritual. Okay. And she just smiled and grinned, and she handed her paper over to me. And so I said, okay, who else wants to share? And I need a guy. Every man looked down. Now, there was this man who just kept fiddling, and he wouldn't look up. Of course I'm going to call on him. So I called this man up, and I said, would you like to share your affirmations? And he gets up, and he goes, okay. Dear God, I am not an ATM. And I want someone who gets me, who gets my heart. Amen. P.S. Thank you. Now, the reason why I share this story with you is because you have one area over here with 3 pages of information, correct? And on this end over here, we have 1 sentence. And the reason why I bring up work, and the reason why I bring up the coffee, and the reason why I bring up these relationship issues, because there was an off balance in all of these situations. And as I said to you earlier, we really get off when it regards money, or when it's an intimate relationship. And so what's happening in collective consciousness is you see an extreme behavior tendency all around the planet. So therefore, it says to me that there's an off balance somewhere. So let me sort of go back. We go back to the 14, the 15, even the 1300s, and the Red Party at that time was considered the church. Got it? And there were these things called words that were being used that divided, and perhaps there was fear during this time frame in terms of how we perceived our spirituality and science. And then we had the blue party, the dukes and the kings and the noblemen. Think about that. They were the ones who negotiated for terms. And what happens here in life is that you have one extreme behavior versus the other concept of behavior. And why it's in collective consciousness right now is because it is allowing us to see something that maybe perhaps like my boss, I need to speak up because what I did not do was speak up. And my boss, I can't blame my boss, all she was doing was a worker bee. And she knew that I was going to work. So allowed behavior became a part of my consciousness without me realizing it. And when I sent that message out to God, Christ, the universe, the ascended masters, I got exactly what I needed. Kind of extreme if you think about the angel and swinging on the gate. But you follow me? So what happens here in our consciousness? Where are you in your relationships? Ask yourself. Where am I with my money and my career? Where am I with my boss? Where am I in terms of dating right now? Having a relationship? Just ask yourself. I ask myself all that time. And what I'm learning to do is speak up, learn the boundaries, know that I deserve great things in my life, and it is time for all of us to know the difference between collective consciousness versus old soul consciousness. Collective consciousness is 85%. We see that all around the planet. But old soul consciousness, everyone in this room and all the viewing audience, means we have lived here over and over and over and over again. And it's time for us to make some changes. And those changes are nothing more than fine-tuning so that we can proceed forward. We're going through some very interesting times. And oftentimes I find myself shocked at what I'm hearing. But at the same time, I know that change comes for the better of mankind. Let us all participate in this wonderful change that comes about. And women, make your voice heard. I call on you. And all you men who are feminists like myself, make your voice heard. We need you. God bless you. Thank you. I appreciate you listening today, and I hope you got the message.